Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists out of pointless things. Why are we flying by this pointless statue in Booty Bay? Because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is Shatterhorn, and Shatterhorn is a Yeti found in Frostblade Peak in the Howling Fjord. And the reason I love Shatterhorn is because he is literally the Snorlax of World of Warcraft. And Foreman Kobe is like, hey, my men are trying to mine ore for weapons, but a giant Yeti invaded the mine and he's blocking the tunnel. We need to expand. We've tried yelling at him and smoking him out, but nothing's working. So his idea is you go get a bunch of meat from the Frosthorn rams, and that'll be a good enough meal to wake him up, apparently. And so you go do that, you get the ram meat, you put it down in front of him, and he wakes up and he goes, and he starts attacking you, which I don't know why, because you're giving him food. You'd think he'd be like, awesome, ram meat, but he's just mad at you. I guess because you're invading his cave that he's sleeping in, and you woke him up from sleeping. There's plenty of people where if you wake him up from sleeping, they're going to be like, ugh. But I really do love this guy. I mean, he's just sitting there blocking the cave. Like I said earlier, he is Snorlax, and so that's why Shatterhorn is number 10. 9. Number 9 is Chomp Chomp, and I picked Chomp Chomp, 1, because of his name. Chomp Chomp's a phenomenal name. And 2, he's part of this quest with the Hosen called the Lederhosen, which is a reference to Lederhosen, the German garment. And so the big part of the quest is that you send in this goat to scare away Chomp Chomp, and then he runs through the wall and he's like, bleh, and then the Ook of Duke says, no, Wicket stole my Chomp Chomp. You bunch of dukers. You might be like, Crendor, why aren't you showing us this quest? That's because this is part of a 67-part quest chain that I'm not about to redo. Listen, I love this series, but I'm not about to do 66 quests just so a goat can run around so you can see the Yeti run through a wall. You could just go look it up or use your imagination. But Chomp Chomp is a fantastic Yeti, wonderful name, and I hope he's having a great time being free in the mountains. In the mountains. And that's why he's number 9. 8. Number 8 are the Yetis of Dunmorrow, and I think a lot of people think of these Yetis when they think of Dunmorrow, because most people do the quest around like level 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever it might be, but they're actually Wendigos. So on WoWWiki, it says they are large, furry, horned humanoids similar to Yeti and Sasquatch. So I guess they're not technically a Yeti, but I'm not about to do a pointless top 10 Wendigos because I don't even think there are 10, or if there are, I don't even know. And there's like one Sasquatch in the game, which is Big Fist in the Gorduni Outpost in Feralus. So, listen, I'm just saying they're Yetis. This list is already pointless, you know what I mean? So they're Yetis in my mind. So they walk around in Dunmorrow, they got their big ice cave, and according to the WoW Wiki again, Wendigo, along with ice trolls, were among the races enslaved by the newly created Lich King shortly after the Frozen Throne crashed into the Ice-Crowned Glacier. After the end of the Second War, a group of dead Wendigos was found by Coriol Straz in the Nexus. So there you go, a little bit of lore right there, but I always remember him out of nostalgia, and that's really why I wanted to put him on the list, and that's why they're number 8. 7. Number 7 is Ice Howl, and Ice Howl is the raid boss in the Argent Tournament that is sleeping outside in the Argent Tournament grounds. He's like pinned down, just sleeping out there. And I think it looks like they're guarding him to make sure he doesn't wake up and go crazy. But I forgot that Ice Howl's actually a Hearthstone card as well. I'm sure a lot of people did. And it says on the Ice Howl flavor text, this massive Yeti just closes his eyes and charges at the nearest target. Which is very true, because when you go into this raid and he shows up, he is straight up charging at you. Like, look at that speed. He is like, bleh. But obviously Ice Howl is one of the most well-known Yetis because most people have done the Argent Tournament, and whether that's a good or a bad thing in your mind, people remember him, right? So Ice Howl, I think, deserves to be on this list of the top 10 Yetis, and that's why he's number 7. 6. Number 6 is Whomper, and Whomper is a small baby Yeti, or Wendigo, I mean, either one. He's really the only baby of, like, any of these things in the game, and he's actually the 2018 charity pet. According to the BattleNet shop, it says, meet Whomper, the wandering young Yeti from the snowy passes of Drustvar, ready to melt the coldest of hearts. He stands up atop 2 enormous feet, prepared to rock along and join you on your adventure throughout Azeroth. So actually, look at that. They called him a Yeti, even though they say he's a Wendigo. Look at that. I don't even know. But it says Whomper's a playful baby Wendigo who sometimes trips over his own overly large feet. And when he wants to play, he will give you a playful headbutt. But he's just a little guy, man. He's just a little guy. He likes to walk around. He's got his big feet. And like I was mentioning earlier, it seems like he's the only baby Yeti in the game. Like, I haven't seen any baby Yetis walking around anywhere. Like, he is the only one. So for that reason alone, I think he should be on the list. But that's why I put him a bit higher on the list, because he's obviously a rare Yeti, and he's very cute. So that's why Whomper is number 6. 5. Number 5 is Vagash, and Vagash is the Yeti Wendigo mob that overlooks the Amberstill Ranch in Dunmurrow, and he's actually the one that terrorizes the local farms and ram herds. So because of this, Rudra Amberstill wants you to slay the beast and bring her one of his fangs as proof. And I always remember this quest because back in Classic WoW, he was an elite mob, so you needed a group to do this, and especially playing hardcore WoW, you very much needed a group to do this, because this was like, oh boy, we got to go take down the elite Yeti, you know what I mean? But another thing I realized is this guy's been changed like 5 times throughout history. So back in patch 1.2, Vagash in Dunmurrow properly shows his elite status. In Burning Crusade, he was no longer elite. In Cataclysm, his level was reduced from 11 to 9, and he was no longer skinnable. And in Legion, he got the model updated, and he scaled from levels 5 to 21. So he's actually been changed quite a bit over the years. And so with all those things considered, I thought that number 5 was a good spot for Vagash, and that's why he's number 5. 4. Number 4 is Yetimus the Yeti Lord. And how could I not put the Yeti Lord on this list? So he is a big brown Yeti located in the Hillsborough foothills, and according to the quest, Yetimus the Yeti Lord, it says, "For years, the mountain Yeti of this region have been allowed free reign. Our complacency in dealing with the Yeti menace has resulted in an aberration. Yetimus, Lord of all Yetis, has grown to a size and strength that our guards simply cannot handle. We fear that should his appetite lead him near Tarn Mill, he would devour us all. Gather a party and dispatch the beast. He roams the countryside to the west." And so in researching this, a lot of people are like, this guy's really hard to kill. It should say like 5 players specifically needed. This is wild. But like, obvious, like this dude's the Yeti Lord. Like, what do you expect? It's not like the Yeti Knight. It's not like the Yeti Servant. It's not like just some random guy. This is the Lord of Yetis. Like, he's gonna be difficult. I don't know why people are complaining. You know what I mean? I don't know. That was just something I read that bothered me for some reason. I was like, this dude's the Lord of Yetis. Like, he's gonna be difficult. Either way, that's why Yetimus the Yeti Lord is number 4. 3. Number 3 are the Feral and Rage Scar Yetis of Feralis. And these are some of the Yetis that I always think of when I think of Yetis, because I remember being in Feralis and getting the Yeti hides for the quests and doing all these different things, but I actually found out there's some interesting stuff about the Feral and Rage Scar Yetis. So the Feral Scar is a tribe of Yetis, and their leader is also named Feral Scar, and in the past, several Feral Scar Yetis fought against Varian Rin in Dire Maul. Since the Cataclysm, the Feral Scar Yetis flourished, and their hide was thought to have become stronger compared to several years ago. Meanwhile, the Rage Scar are a group of Yetis also in Feralis, and the bulk of the population lives in Rage Scar Hold. These Yetis were the finest source of leather in all of Feralis, and their pelts, when given a special treatment, are as resilient as iron. However, the Emerald Nightmare's corruption has affected these Yetis as well, leaving their pelts weak and rotted in places. But reading that just blew my mind, because I was like, dude, I always remember getting the thick Yeti hides, but to realize that they're as strong as iron? Like, that's actually pretty insane. It puts into perspective why everybody wanted to get these Yeti hides, because you're essentially just making iron armor out of it. But either way, these are some of the most well-known Yetis in World of Warcraft. They got some very rare hides, and they've got some cool backstories. So that's why the Feral Scar and Rage Scar Yetis are number 3. 2. Number 2 are the Winter's Veil Yetis, which are the Abominable Grinch and Grumpus. So the Abominable Grinch is clearly a reference to the Grinch, the Dr. Seuss character, and he is also the one who steals Metzen the reindeer, which I covered in Pointless Top 10 Reindeer last week. He's located in the Alterac Mountains, and it also says that he is known to attack travelers passing through the mountains, taking their entire food supply, according to the WoW Wiki. It's also one of the reasons the Smokywood pastors are so fed up with the Grinch, because they make use of the mountain routes to transport their goods, and then the Grinch gets in the way, and then obviously they lose money, they lose resources, and so obviously they're upset. Now on the other side, Grumpus is a giant Yeti that is in the Frostfire Ridge, and according to the WoW Wiki, one of Draenor's oldest stories is the legend of Grumpus. The story tells of a mean-spirited brute that would come in the night in the dead of winter and kidnap children that misbehaved. Back at his lair, he would present them with awful toys and use their tears to spawn his minions. But Grumpus is no legend, he's quite real. No one quite knows when the legend of Grumpus began in Draenor, but his toys are just the worst. Like, what toys is he giving out? Is he giving out, like, evil Furbies or something? Like, I don't know. But anyway, Grumpus is actually a reference to Krampus, which is the horned anthropomorphic figure in Alpine folklore who appeared during the Christmas season to punish misbehaving children, which seems like it's much worse than getting coal in your stocking. But with all that put aside, the Abominable Grinch and Grumpus are two of the most famous Yetis in World of Warcraft, and they always come back every year for the Winter's Veil festivities, and that's why they're number 2. 1. And number 1 is Koda Khan. And Koda Khan is a Yeti up in the Kunlai Summit that goes crazy after you give her Kaffa, or Kaffa, I don't know which one it is, but it's coffee. And one of the Grumbles says, Koda Khan wants more Kaffa, but I already fed her all that I have. Then I tried giving her a nice bow, but she's not satisfied. And then he says, I think she can smell the Kaffa I drank for breakfast. But I don't know how I never knew this quest was in the game. A quest where you help the Grumbles with a Yeti by getting it coffee? Like, how did I not know this? I guess I just breezed through it when I was leveling back in Pandaria, but this quest is phenomenal. And then you get to ride around on Koda Khan while she smashes a bunch of Hosen, very likely in a caffeine-induced rage. So in the grand scheme of things, this is a quest about giving coffee to a Yeti that then has a bow and smashes Hosen for the Grummels. How could I not put this at number 1? And that's why Koda Khan is number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. If you want to watch some more Pointless Top 10s, you can go watch Pointless Top 10 Reindeer, which I talked about earlier in the episode. Or if you want something similar to Yetis, how about Gorillas? There's Pointless Top 10 Gorillas. Okay? Okay. See ya.